Recording.
Morning.
Morning. I got full checked on the way here. Uh-huh.
Full check.
Yeah, you ever talk to Marty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm late.
Oh, I thought you said he was on the way. I said, why is he?
No, I was on the
Well,
way.
you know.
I was on the way. I got
Okay.
sidetracked.
There's a sign-in sheet, if you could, yeah.
We call that getting bracketed. Getting bracketed in our.
Okay, Steve, we got 9 people in the room. We got 3 of you online. The meeting is being recorded. If you're with us, we can probably get things started.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for participating live and virtually. So welcome. Happy holidays to everybody and safe holidays. Hope everyone is doing well and wishing you the best for you and your families. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and kick it off. And thanks for everyone's attendance and for Kristen, Jason, Melissa, and everyone for joining us as well. I would like to be there in person, but I'm over in Eau Claire, so I appreciate you being flexible with the type of platform we're having. So let's go ahead and start with a call to order. I don't have everyone there, so why don't we start and I'll introduce myself first and then we'll go around the room. Yeah,
Oops.
and I'll let people in as we can. So I'll start and then just let those of us that are on site participate, and then we'll get to the virtual people as well. So Stephen Senor, Chair, LEPC. And then we'll turn it over to Jason, please.
Jason Spetz, Dunn County Emergency Management.
Doug Mel Communications.
Tampa, Big River Resources.
Brad Lemke, 3.
Mary Bauer, Eau Claire, OSHA.
Matthew Crow, Cardinal FG. Mike Sampson, Menominee PD.
Matt Poliak, Menominee Fire.
Kristen Bunch, Dunn County Emergency Management.
And that's everybody that's in the room here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Then we'll go to our virtual participants. So Melissa, we'll turn it over to you.
Melissa Gillenbeck, Dunn County Emergency Management 911 Center.
Thank you, Melissa. And Jeff Robb, please.
Jeff Robb, Dunn County Health Department.
And Kristen Riel.
Kristen Riel, Phillips Medisize, Menominee.
Thank you, Kristen. Jenny.
Jenny Legaspi with the American Red Cross.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Did we miss anybody at all?
I think you got everybody.
All right, great. Well, thank you for doing that. Next, we'll move over to the review of the previous minutes, and those should have been sent out to you. If you want to take a moment to review those, and if there are any questions or items you'd like to raise, feel free to do that. If not, after about a minute, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
All right, thank you, Chip. Motion to approve. Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please raise virtual or live hands. All right, all those opposed? Thank you. That motion passes. Next order of business would be public comments. Are there any items to bring up or any comments from anybody either in the meeting or virtually? Seeing as none, we'll have another chance at the end as well to bring up any items. We'll move on to the next item of business, which is the Menominee Fire Department hazmat team update. Would that be able to be provided, please?
Yes. So we had a handful of calls for service since our last meeting. Notable calls were a mutual aid down in the village of Nelson from Durand Fire for a diesel tanker truck that rolled into the ditch. We responded with 2 pickup trucks and our hazmat trailer. Fortunately, the tanker was uprighted. It was not leaking and lost very minimal fuel into the ditch. So that was pretty much without incident. That was on November 13th of this year. We also had another diesel leak in June 30th. Started just north of I-94 on North Broadway, and you could follow the trail of diesel all the way to the Denny's parking lot. About 100-gallon saddle fuel tank on a truck had been damaged when he drove over a manhole cover, which then poked a softball-sized hole in his fuel tank. He didn't know it until somebody flagged him down. But lost about 100 gallons of fuel. We had notified Dunn County Emergency Management of what was going on. They notified the DNR and the state. We used some booms in the Denny's parking lot to mitigate any flow into the sewer. And then the street department came and covered the roadways with sand and then later cleaned up the sand. So we've had 14 natural gas leak calls between June and today. A lot of those have been due to the underground cable and fiber work that's been going on. Pretty much everywhere has been getting dug up, so we've had multiple lines struck as a result of that. Other notable incidents, we had our training. I mentioned last meeting, we had a training set up with the 54th Civil Support Team. That's a state asset for hazmat and weapons of mass destruction response. And we had a mock incident at Cedarbrook Church on July 11th. We simulated a chemical manufacturing lab and religious extremist facility. We assisted the civil support team with level A entry for hazard analysis and evidence collection. So we were able to observe their advanced chemical analysis and the tools and equipment they have. It's quite impressive. They've got a fleet of about 8 vehicles that are pretty state of the art as far as chemical ID and analysis of chemicals and just basic equipment. And then how they collect them. And then we did some tactical decon, simulated an injured responder. We were able to do some tactical decon, actually cut somebody out of a suit and have the 54th Civil Support Team physician assistant was able to give medical direction, staying out of the hot zone just kind of verbally, which was an interesting process to watch. We have upcoming refresher training for our fire department in the spring. That's going to be put on by the REACT Center. We received new items from Dunn and Pepin County grants. Most notably of these items is our new technical decon system for responders. So in the past, we've had on our trailer, we've had a large decon tent, which weighs about 300 pounds. It's just an old dry rotted thing that inflates, and it's a big pain to set up, especially in cold weather. And we learned about a new decon system at last year's WAMR conference, and this is basically a hockey bag, and it's got carbon fiber mats and mitts that are used to absorb and wipe off chemicals of suits. So it'll be just for responders, not for civilians. I'll still have to go and do our gross decon methods. It's not for use on skin, so we'll have to do our traditional decon methods with civilians that are exposed. But as far as responders that are in either level A or level B suits, this will streamline the process a lot and speed it up. And we don't have to carry all this extra heavy equipment on our trailer, which would be nice.
It's far better than what you had.
Yeah.
You demonstrated that it's far better.
Yes. So essentially you wipe somebody down with a carbon fiber mitt. They're standing on a carbon fiber pad. There's no hoses with tens of 20s and 30s of gallons of water runoff that's now contaminated. It's just a little spray that you mix up right on the site, spray them with it, wipe it off, and no muss, no fuss. And
Use that for your tools and stuff too?
Yep, Decon's tools,
That
suits.
carbon fiber is strong enough to
Yeah.
withstand
Yep.
cuts and abrasions. And
Yep. So it's pretty neat system. That was a nice addition to our stuff. So thank you to Dunn County Emergency Management for that through the hazmat grant. And we are also looking to get a hazmat tech class set up for a remainder of our staff that are not certified at the technician level. Everyone's at the ops level, but we'd like to get everybody to that highest responder level if possible. And right now, I think we have between 5 and 10 members that are not certified at the tech level. So and that's it for Menominee Fire.
Okay, thank you for that excellent report. Are there any questions or comments on this busy month? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the next order of business, which is the Emergency Coordinator Information Report. Jason, can you walk us through, it looks like a few items there, the budget review and spill reports, which may have not been covered, and then we'll go to the offsite plans, please.
Certainly. We'll go right down the list. Budget review, I have nothing on the budget. That we even have a budget, to be very honest with you. If somebody knows that, you can let me know, and I would certainly take a look at it. So we'll go and look at the spill reports. Since our last meeting, we've got 10 that were reported to our office. And before I forget, I'll let you know that the previous spills that we reported back in June have all been closed. So here's a summary of what we had since then. We had the diesel fuel spill on North Broadway that Matt discussed, the vehicle leaking fuel that has been closed. We also had a diesel fuel spill, and I see that my spreadsheet doesn't have the dates, but back in the 30th of June on I-94 milepost 33, motorhome that went in, blew a tire and went into the median, punctured the gas tank and leaks. That has been closed as well. On August 21st, a reported spill of 5 gallons of milk at 970th Street and 590th Avenue. Milk is a hazardous material. If it's spilled, I don't know, 5 gallons, but it was reported and taken care of. That was due to a vehicle rollover in the town of Elk Mound. That has been closed. 2,000 gallons of manure spilled on September 18th in a roadway ditch, County Road O, 90th Avenue in the township of Peru. That was due to an equipment failure. A hose pulled from a fitting on a vehicle and leaked the manure. That has been closed. Let's see, we got 70 gallons of diesel fuel in a field on Highway 29 in Elk Mound. That occurred on September 23rd as a result of a semi versus car rollover. Semi rolled over, spilled about 70 gallons of fuel. As far as we know, that case is still open. On October 14th, we had 1,000 gallons of waste brine, salty water from Ellsworth Creamery on County Road B here in Menominee due to an equipment failure. That case is still open. Moving on to October 19th, an unknown amount of hydraulic fuel onto the grass due to an equipment failure. That was on the 4600 block of 410th Avenue in the township of Menominee. That is still open. 3 more left, hang in there. On October 23rd, we had a white powdery substance that was run along a stretch of railroad in the village of Knapp on the railroad. That case is closed. It turned out that that was lime that was being released from a rail car as it was going down the railroad and just leaving a strip of this white powdery stuff all the way down the railroad. It was unable to be cleaned up due to the fact that it was a little bit over a long stretch and Mother Nature came and took care of the problem, I guess. So, and on, well, recently on December 11th, we had a manure unknown amount at this time. It was reported of at least 2 truckloads on frozen farm fields. So it was unable to be worked into the soil and now is going into a nearby creek. So that case is still open, it's fresh. And last but not least, December 12th, we had a diesel field. These things come in twos, seems like. And if you notice the dates, but 2s or 3s, but we had an unknown amount of diesel fuel on the roadway and ditch, Highway 12 at 970th Street. That was due to a train wreck, dump truck versus train, fuel leaking from the truck. That case is still open. And now they're on the phone. So that is the spill report as of today. Any questions, comments, any details needed on any of those by anyone? I can certainly provide those.
So the 5 gallons of milk, you went to the Humane Society and got all the cats and then put the cats.
I think there's probably enough stray cats around that we wouldn't have to go to the Humane Society to do it, but yeah, it's 5 gallons, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm mystified that somebody would report a 5-gallon spill of milk. But
Well, someone who knows that milk is actually considered a hazardous material, did what they were told to do, and I suppose they didn't. And I don't know if they're I've never researched it enough to know how much really constitutes a hazardous material. But anyways, it was reported to us. It's now been reported to you, and the case is closed.
You should hear what people call 911 for.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's not milk, is it either?
Okay. Hearing, no other comments, questions, or points of concern, we can move off to the off-site facility updates. I will just talk briefly about the 2 new ones. And then Kristen has the reviewed off-sites, the updates there. So first off, with your packets, you should have gotten a final draft for Silgan container here in Menominee and Colfax dryer, surprisingly, in Colfax. What we would like to do today, if Steve is ready to do that, take comments. If you've reviewed those comments, questions, points of concern. I will say that they were reviewed by emergency management. They were reviewed by the emergency coordinators and managers of the facilities themselves and approved by them. And they've also been discussed with Matt Poliak with the hazmat team with Menominee Fire. So what we'd look to do on these is have any other comments from this group or an approval to have those signed off then by Steve. And then we can close those just like the spilt milk. So
That
any
would be
comments, questions?
Yeah, I noticed there was about a 2-gallon spill of ice cream. I'm gonna have to go clean up here in a minute. So, no, seriously, thank you for that, Jason. And what I would suggest, a great job on that, is that we take a vote on the 2, and then I'll turn it back over to you for the off-site updates. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, so for the Silligan and the Colfax dryer, are there any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve the plans.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, raise hands virtually or manually. Waiting for our virtual hands to raise. There we go. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you,
like that.
Kristen. All right. I'm waiting for another emoji to come in, which is going to be the poop one, but that we'll wait. Anyway, motion carries. And thank you for that. Jason, can we turn it over to you again, please, for the renewed or the reviewed offsite
Yes,
plans?
and I will defer to Kristen with those updates from our office.
All right, so this round we had five offsites that were ready for review. And I'll just go through each one. So charter, we had a charter communications building that was basically a large battery pack, and that is no more. It has been removed. It is just gone. So we did basically a final update on that and we close it out. So, and that sounds really boring, but it's really kind of exciting because it just means that there's less batteries in Dunn County to worry about. So, then we also did Oli Americas. And that was a simple sort of contact information update, a little bit of an update on quantities of their current EHS. Yeah, nothing terribly exciting, just update and a little more detailed. Big Rivers. This is our most exciting one that we have. So Big Rivers actually removed their anhydrous ammonia. That is a big deal. That for those of you who don't know, anhydrous ammonia has like a vulnerability zone of 10 miles. It's a big deal. And they are still a planning facility due to sulfuric acid, but just the amount, if there were ever to be something that happened within that facility, the issues that might happen are greatly reduced. The population, there's just, the vulnerability zone goes from 10 miles to basically the facility. So we worked with Greg and it is a lot of work on their
Our plan
end.
is really boring now.
Right. And what did you say? Your plan is so little and weird
Right.
now because there's just so many less pages and so many less
That's about
things
half
going
the
on.
size now.
Mhm.
You guys get rid of a whole process, or you guys?
No, we've been using urea for a long time. We had been sitting with about 38% of ammonia in the tank, and all of our plants that we have finally got rid of ammonia. So we just bled it out into the process and emptied the tank, and then we actually found some farmers down south, I think Iowa, Illinois areas, that they have a lot of acreage, so they actually put these tanks out like in their fields or in the middle of where their fields would be, and they just put these tanks right out there. So we sold the tanks and got them right off of our property. So, I mean, there's still ammonia on our property with their products, but they're under that threshold yet. So, yeah, they use it for their cooling system on the CO2.
Yep, and so there's a lot of paperwork involved and Greg did a wonderful job and the company did a wonderful job. So that is that. Phillips, basically the updates there was just some minor updates, just quantity updates, a little bit of storage, rearranging, things like that. Some contact information was also changed. And then the AT&T just updated the quantities. Oh, those are all complete. For those of you who don't know, our offsites are reviewed every 2 years. And yeah, did you want to talk?
Yeah, and
Okay.
if you're done, I'll just.
Well, do we have any other questions? Sorry, do
Yeah.
we have any other questions in regards to those updates? And thank you, Greg, for answering some of those questions that we did have.
Okay, and before we turn it back over to Steve, A couple of general comments about our offsite plans, some changes that you may be seeing in the near, well, some of you are already seeing them, but if you've worked with this kind of stuff, either through a facility or through the fire department, you're probably familiar with the program or the website Whoppers from the state of Wisconsin, that basically the facilities go in and they do all their reporting and enter all their information about the facility and whatnot. Fire departments have access, or they should have access, or can have access to review plans that the county puts together. The county is responsible for putting together the offsite plans and getting those approved as we did today. And then they get submitted also to the state just to review. But in the past, we've been working with Word documents, and we've been working with then converting to PDFs and passing things back and forth. We are going to start to transition with our new plans. Silgan and Colfax were the Colfax Dryer were the test runs to actually enter that data directly into the Whoppers website. And then Whoppers, all that stuff available to the facility to look at any time that we've done. The fire departments can log in, look at it through that. And the review process should be a lot easier. It follows the required template from the state. Then also, as we move forward, when we initiate the next plan, it draws everything in from the previous plan. So we're not rewriting, we're not editing, we're not sending documents back and forth saying, what do you think of this? They come back scribbled and we try to make sense of it. They can look at it and make their comments. If the facility changes anything, that automatically gets dumped into the report, the existing report, and in the next report. Manager changes or emergency operations contact changes, or we go into our database and we change, let's say, Matt becomes the new fire chief for Menominee. And we just change that. That changes everything globally in the system that lists Menominee as their responding unit. So moving forward, it should be a lot more efficient for the facilities. You just might see a little different format, but we will, of course, as always, be here to assist you and kind of guide you through that process of how it might look or how the process will look going forward. And I think the facilities will like it. Fire department, I know, Matt, you get into that system and you're part of the approval process anyhow. We'll talk about the rural fire departments, the smaller volunteers departments, make sure they have access. Of course, some of these facilities fall within their first response jurisdiction. So did I cover everything that we really wanted to say there?
Well, and I think too, so the reason that we were doing the offsites the way we were before, for those of you who actually go into Whoppers, the system was just really struggling to actually access all those different sections where you could just, put it in there conveniently. And this went back years before I was a part of this, so I'm not sure kind of the evolution of all this. But apparently now the system is a little bit more capable of sorting that information out and spitting it out correctly. And so then also moving forward, so yours, we did not update yours, just, I mean, we updated your plan, but not the method of how we're putting it in.
We'll migrate.
So we're gonna slowly start migrating as we review. We're gonna slowly start migrating plans into the system. Just a little bit to make it easier for us and to not try to tell 24 facilities, guess what? Today we're gonna do this. So
I would think another thing that would maybe be easier, and I don't know how far you guys want to go in on this too, is, like we struggled with getting access to that one spot that we needed to completely remove our ammonia, making sure that your facilities, that if they ever do remove anything from their process, make sure that they have the right access. We didn't have the correct access to I don't know if that was if that was state or federally removed that from our ledger or whatever it was, and we had to do some hoop jumping. We had never had the ability to even log into this thing
Okay, yeah,
because our plan was created by somebody else and we were never given access to it, and it was just a pain. So
yeah, and
it was right up to like the last day.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't happen every day
Right,
on our end
exactly,
either,
right,
so yeah,
exactly,
we gotta work
right,
through
right.
those issues and make sure
Yeah.
that we're doing things in a timely fashion, so when we run into roadblocks like that, we can get them repaired and move on before those deadlines that are approaching.
yeah, and from what I understand, so it will be the state that has the rights to give you the rights. And I think that there's only one user per facility, and that's a security thing. But yeah, if you ever have problems, if you can't get in, if you're trying to do your tier 2, if you, whatever it is, you can always call us and we will get you to the right person. So Jason and I are not the enforcers of this system, if that, I know that sounds kind of strict, but we can hopefully get you to the right person who can point you in the right direction. So,
If we can't solve it ourselves.
right. Unlike login things, that is not us. But if you ever have any questions, you can always call us.
All right, well, thank you very much, Christian and Jason. Excellent job on the review of the plans as well as the process. So that helps everyone gain a better understanding. So let's move on, if there are no other questions, to the next order of business, which is the LEPC membership update. And that would be nominations for the chair, vice chair, and secretary. Jason and Kristen, can I turn it back over to you to help manage that process, please?
Certainly. The election of the chair, vice chair, and secretary. Well, of course, our chair is sitting right here on our screen currently,
On a chair.
but yeah, on a chair. And so what we would probably look for at this point is any nominations for anyone for that particular position, either the current the incumbent or any other nominations. So we would open the floor to that at this time.
I'll make a motion to nominate Steve.
You got a motion to nominate Steve. Do we have a second?
Second that.
We have a second to nominate Steve. Any other nominations?
3 gallon of ice cream to anyone who approves. No,
Any objections, any conversation? And that includes you too, Steve. You can object if you need to.
I've been trying to give it away for years, so thank you. I'm honored and privileged to be with such an outstanding group of individuals, the best county of all of Wisconsin.
And then I guess we need to, we got a motion and a second, all in favor of electing Steve as our ongoing chairman. Raise your hand. And we got some online.
Melissa
Perfect.
sent a frown
Anybody opposed?
face.
Yeah, Melissa, I think might be mobile, so she might have trouble raising her hands, but
I'm
Any
not
objection?
actually on the committee, you know, I'm just here.
okay,
Right?
that's right. Any opposed?
Jenny does not oppose.
Yeah, she just still got her hand up. Okay, well, that passes then. So
Thank you.
Steve, you've been reelected and now it's back to you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Kristen, everyone. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to be with such an outstanding group of people. Let's look at vice chair. I know that's been somewhat in flux in the past. Do we have any nominations for anyone interested in becoming the vice chair for the committee? And they can be people that aren't necessarily attending. Any names, any ideas?
Anyone want to volunteer? It's always easy being the vice.
Of course, of course.
Jason. Yeah, Jason.
I already got it. I'm already,
He's the CEO. I can't leave.
I got an appointed position.
If not, what we might be able to do is table this for a period of time and see if there are any names that do come up or people that are interested, and they can get a hold of Jason or Kristen. Is that sufficient?
I think it will have to do if we don't have any nominations or volunteers.
Okay. Then we would move on to the secretary position or secretarial position. Are there any names or nominations for that? Anybody interested or want to know more about the position?
Steve, this is Melissa.
Hi.
I am, like Jason said, remote today and I worked midnights last night and I don't have the rules or bylaws right in front of me, but does it not indicate that the secretary at the emergency management is automatically the secretary, or does it not say that?
I don't have that in front of me, Melissa. Perhaps Jason and Kristen might have it, but that sounds very, very correct on that.
I think that somebody, I could be wrong, but I think you do have to actually nominate me and second. And if
In
you guys want to
order-
take the meeting minutes,
In order to assure the continuity of operations in the absence of a chairperson, the LEPC shall establish a post of vice chairperson and elect a person for that post.
That's
Okay.
vice chair. Secretary, the secretary shall be elected for a 2-year term and must be a member of the LEPC.
Okay. I think that we had thought about putting that in, Jason, and we did not communicate enough, and I'm sorry about that. That we had indicated that that position should just be the program assistant from emergency management. Again, my apologies. I should have followed through on that because that was my intention.
No, it's all good. Thank you, Melissa.
And we have rule update coming up, so we can maybe look at making that change to the rule.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Do you want to
So
just
we-
keep?
Yeah,
Sorry, Melissa,
so we
go
can
ahead.
go back to elections then.
Mhm. And then we can move over to the next order, which is the committee rules. Are there any names or if anyone either in attendance or anyone interested in that secretary position?
This is Kristen Reel. I might be interested in one or the other. I just want to know a little bit more about it before I commit.
All right, we can read the rules if that helps. I don't have them in front of me on the position description. I know we kind of went over the vice chair a little bit with Jason or Kristen, if you want to maybe paraphrase. My interpretation is chairing the meeting, Kristen, when if the chair is not available, then the vice chair steps in and helps to coordinate the meetings like we're doing now, as well as sign off on the plans like Jason and Kristen were talking about. And then also help facilitate the more or less the updates going on in the community, any hazardous incidents, and more or less help to oversee that and be able to respond as needed as requested by the county.
I think that was a very good summary. That was a better summary than what the position description. Basically, yeah, you're backing up. You're backup for the chairperson as the vice chair in their absence. And yep, I can't add more to that. So that's perfect. We would love to have you volunteer for that position.
Kristen, is that something you'd be interested in?
Maybe start at the secretary level.
You got this. You'd be good. You can. And Jason, do you have anything there specific to secretarial that Kristen didn't mention in terms of the responsibilities?
In order to assure that proper minutes of the meetings are kept, keep minutes of the business conducted in the absence of the chairperson and vice chairman, chairperson. The secretary shall preside over meetings in the LEPC.
Sounds
So
great.
basically, you're putting out minutes, you're doing agendas, you're coordinating the planning of the meeting with the Emergency Management Office, coordinator of information. It's busier work than the vice chairperson, I'll tell you that.
It is.
Hmm.
Are we going to?
If we're gonna have a discussion about it, I would say it works very well, and this is probably why Melissa had brought this up and it never made it into discussion further. It does work very well to have the coordinator of information and the secretary of the LEPC within the same office to coordinate this stuff. So I will throw that out there. So if we elect someone outside of the office, we'll just have to work a little bit harder to coordinate some of these efforts, which we can do.
Sure. It would make sense. Oh, thank you, Jason. Kristen, Real, if that's something you'd be interested in the vice chair role, because that would be a good conduit to connect with the LEPC as well as the emergency department to facilitate these kind of matters. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I think from the sounds of it, a vice chair would be more conducive with my current role than the secretary.
I would think so as well. That seems to fit.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. Is there a nomination for Kristen to be the vice chair?
I'll make a motion to nominate Kristen for vice chair.
Okay, thank you. And can we have a second, please?
I'll second.
We do have a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We won't ask you to step out of the room, Kristen. You're fine. Let's go ahead and all those in favor? Jenny, Jeff? Okay, thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. We are now staffed. This is an exciting moment. This is
an exciting moment. We were wondering what was gonna happen.
We were.
all right. Well, I'm going to abdicate. So now you're in charge, Kristen. So good job. Appreciate everyone's help in volunteering. Let's continue if we can with the general theme. So going back to the secretary position, are we going to Melissa's comment under agreement that this would be sufficient to maintain the current conditions and the current methods that we have?
Yeah, Steve, I'm not sure. I thought I had maybe jotted that down somewhere, but maybe didn't talk to Jason about it. I did see that in another either a template or another county's bylaws, is that position, just like the the role of the coordinator, is kind of dictated right in the bylaws. So that, I guess, would be my preference. Is that we consider that. That is up to the committee itself, the LEPC committee. But I guess that would be my my preference, is that we consider putting that right in the bylaws. And so there's no need for an election. It's just an appointed, who's ever in that role, then also has the role of secretary on the LEPC. But again, up to the committee.
Makes sense. Any comments or questions? All right, thank you, Melissa. So what we could do is turn it back over to Jason and Kristen, and we could look at the committee rules. And to Melissa's comment, perhaps, not necessarily right now, but add that into the bylaws so that becomes part of our mission.
So you are going to table the secretary at this time pending a potential rule change.
If that's acceptable to everyone, and again, this is open for the committee, is that we could go ahead and table the secretarial position nomination for right now, and then blend that into the committee rules as an amendment or an update, perhaps voting as a committee at the next session in June.
Okay.
Would that be agreeable to everyone?
I thought we were gonna discuss the bylaws today. Are we not? Discuss those
Yes,
changes,
we're-
Jason?
We're gonna do that right now.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Okay.
that, Melissa, and if need be, we can go ahead and delay, but if we can accept it today, that'd be another,
Okay.
probably more
Okay.
prudent option. Yep,
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
I'm going to make an attempt to share my screen and bring up the bylaws. What is this? Hang on a second. I think I gotta put that actually up on the screen first. There they are. Try this again. So, are you folks online able to see the rules?
Yes, thank you.
And that does not show up. Okay, hang on, I think I can fix this. Where am I? Aha. Gotta be smarter than the machine. All right, so you can see it? Yes?
Correct.
And now we can see it. Okay, so we were looking through this and I sent, Kristen sent this out, or our secretary sent this out for potential just minor changes to the bylaws. One of the things that we were talking about in our office is removing the population of the villages that are stated in the location and characteristics. We can easily keep the population of Dunn County there for, based on the information, but what we were discussing is, does this just create an annual headache of trying to figure out how this population is divided out and put those numbers in? Is it necessary? So our question was, or our proposal was to remove those village populations and percentages and things like that. I think we all know that what the village of Boyceville makes up in Dunn County and the city of Menominee and whatnot. So any questions, comments, or thoughts, discussion on that particular change?
Makes sense. Thank you.
And I don't know, Steve, do you want to motion on all these changes or collective? So I guess we can go through the changes and then somebody can make a motion on accepting all or part or none of the changes. Is that how you want to proceed?
If that works with everyone, we can do that, Jason. And then if there are any comments, if somebody has any suggestions, we can certainly take those in. It may be more prudent, if you don't mind, to keep going through that.
Okay, well, then we'll move on to page 3 here. These are just changes that are appropriate based on what's going on. We've got 22 planning facilities, not 23. Is that correct, or is it just go up one?
Nope, now we're at 24.
Yeah, because we just added one. So
Mhm.
scratch that. We're going to change that to 24. Planning facilities, which is just the proper statistic. And then there was a statistic there about UW Stout population that was outdated. A change from 19 to 7,900 approximate students going downward. And here, oh, this was a, Kristen. Kristen says, consider rewording. So I guess what are your suggestions on that?
Sure, so it just says that, my concern is it says that if one of our LEPC members is not here for 3 consecutive times, that you're out. And are we gonna keep doing that, or are we going to take attendance? And is somebody gonna keep track of who is in attendance? And, well, I keep track of attendance, but I'm not keeping track of who was here last time. Did Matt show up? Did he?
I was here.
Right, you know, and that type of thing. So if we're going to keep this implemented, then we just have to keep track of that. And then are we gonna actually kick somebody out of the LEPC? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's necessary. I don't know if that is definitely what we want to do, but I have not been keeping track of if somebody has missed 3 times in a row. Thoughts?
Well, I think it's fair to say that if they're not showing up, are they really a member of the LEPC anyhow?
That's true.
So I think that's why that would be in there.
Unless it's a special meeting, it's 3 consecutives is almost covering a year and a half, 2
Yeah,
years of
right.
absence.
So do we officially kick somebody? You know what I'm saying? So-
Well, would they really be kicked off though, Kristen? Because it's 2 years, their term is 2 years. And if you miss 3, basically you're almost into their new term. You just don't reelect them. So,
Well, right, but we're not talking, I mean, people, I think there's a difference between being a member of LEPC and being elected member of LEPC. So technically,
Mm.
right now, the people who are elected is going to be chair and vice chair. The secretary position, we're not sure about. Jason just has his position because he is the coordinator. But members,
so this is only for the elected, this comment?
no, this is for everybody.
Yeah, okay.
The representatives of the 24.
This is,
Can you zoom that a little bit?
oh, can you make
Some of
that
us-
bigger?
I can get most of it. I'm just-
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Oh,
much
my
better.
gosh.
You know, this audiovisual stuff is going well today.
So, yeah, so I guess I don't know what you mean, Kristen, when you said elected officials.
So here it says,
I think that was maybe just misspoke.
Oh, okay. Okay,
any member has 3 unexcused absences. So that's not an elected, well, I mean, it could
Right.
be an elected, person, but it doesn't necessarily mean. So I'm just asking for clarification on this. Are we going to, because you know, a lot of people in this room show up and are a member of this committee because, well, maybe your supervisor says you have to, but maybe you're here because you want to be here. And you're not elected, you're a member and you've asked to become a member. So,
Yeah, how do you become a member? Because, I mean, I just show up,
Right.
you know, and
right, and so technically you are not a member, you are
Right.
just somebody who shows up.
yeah,
And we appreciate it,
Mhm.
but you are not a member of our LEPC.
right.
So members typically, some people kind of inherit the position. For instance, Matt, you have an inherited position a little bit, and other members has a little bit. And just because we like to have representatives from different places, different facilities, different entities. But you're not elected. You were not elected. You were not elected. He's not elected either, but Steve Senor is elected. But the
Yeah.
members,
they're appointed per se, correct, Kristen? They're appointed, would you say?
So do you have a membership list?
we do.
Okay,
we
Yes.
have a membership list, and I just want to clarify one thing that we've got. By state statute, we're required to have the LEPC, and we're required to have a certain minimum membership from 5 different categories of folks. So really, at the bare minimum, we could have an LEPC with, I think, 7 people, because one of those requires 2. So it's member of emergency services, member of 2 members of, I don't recall
So-
exactly what they are, but we have to fulfill those at the very minimum. So aside from that, we can have more. So these facilities mainly are facilities that are represented, have become members of the LEPC, and they appoint their folks to that position.
So really quick, it says the member will then be automatically disqualified from the LEPC board. So I guess what's the definition of the board? Is the members this here the board, or is the board the secretary, the vice chair, and the chair?
The board would be the membership, the voting membership.
Where does it say board?
The next sentence.
The next.
The LEPC chair will contact the Dunn County Board of Supervisors to request a replacement.
No, the sentence before that.
Okay. Oh,
Or
from the
two times.
LEPC board. Okay. So then, yeah, so I'd say the highlighted part you need to decide on, but then that word board needs to be taken out of the second sentence.
Yeah,
Or.
it's
or
kind of
just- or
confusing.
just-
Do you guys want to know what the representative
Or
group?
just make that more clear that they're disqualified from voting on anything that requires a vote in a meeting if they do show up. I mean, that's basically all that you're disqualifying them from. I mean, they can still show up to a meeting after they've missed 3. They just can't have a voice and can't vote.
So can we keep that first sentence, then the second sentence, based on your suggestion, which really makes sense, the member will then be disqualified, or will no longer be a voting member of the LEPC. Does that make sense to everyone?
Is it a lifetime ban for voting? Seems pretty egregious.
Well, wait a
Well,
minute,
so
that's what
What
I-
if you get back into it later? I mean, I just, never mind. I didn't say anything.
Well, I think of it like this, like, this is something like we really do need to decide, because like, as far as law enforcement goes, I represent Menominee PD. Kevin represents the sheriff's office, and Kevin hasn't been here for the last 3 meetings.
Right,
So do we really want to tell the sheriff he can't vote on stuff?
exactly.
Yeah, we
So-
do. We want to tell him that.
That's why we got
That's your
Melissa.
job, Melissa.
It's a vice chair's first order of business.
Yeah.
No, don't scare her off. So,
So then we keep the first sentence. The second sentence, member will be, will no longer be a voting member.
are you writing?
Yeah, I'm making these.
I mean, the hard part on this too is, I mean, you see this as safety individuals, we see this as the more rules that you put in, the less participation you're
Right.
gonna have, the less people are gonna
Yeah.
start showing up. And
Which is, I think, why there's call for a replacement is part of the last sentence is, now we have a
Right.
member that doesn't show up and can't vote on stuff. Why don't we just replace them? And I think that's
So,
why, and
The
that's why
sheriff department is a member. The representative is not showing up. We call and say, find someone who will.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, so that kind of takes care of what you're talking about. It's not like we're kicking everybody out, but we're replacing it. And if next go around, that entity says, well, so-and-so wants to come back and is going to participate, we should be good.
Some does the paragraph work, or does it something to be changed?
I mean, I think it works.
I think the paragraph,
the
Fine.
people that are required to be here just need to know, I mean, the entities that need to be here, not aside from the voted in people, just need to know the importance of the LEPC. And obviously all of us in Dunn County that show up to these know the importance of the LEPC and why it's here, and and the importance of the other people that are here with fire and police and response agencies from hazmat to whatever. I mean, it's there. I talked to our plants down in Iowa. They have LEPCs down there, but they don't hold meetings.
Really?
Yeah. So.
And I'm in an inherited position, so I took over for Barneson when he retired. But it was not implied, it was, you will be there. Like,
That's
will be
implied.
there. Yeah. Not exactly implied, it was, you will be there, like,
So
directive.
for the purposes of the update, we just changed some wording in that second sentence. Is that what or we're gonna keep it? We removed the word board there for sure. The member will no longer be a voting member of the LEPC. Then the letter stating such will be sent to the. Is that what we're?
The member, I don't think we need to put disqualified.
Right. Right, that's. The member will no longer be, well, we're worded, how did I say it before?
No, that makes sense. Supervisors to that last line to request replacement for the member.
Member of the LEPC. I think it's confusing because board to me is the elected positions or the standing positions versus just, are you talking general membership?
Yeah, we're gonna take that word board out.
Okay,
Based on that, yeah, that was suggested. We're gonna take that word board out. So the member will no longer be a voting member of the LEPC. Period. Yes?
Sounds good.
All right.
And the key is too, if somebody is, sorry, Jason, if somebody is not able to make it and they call and they say, look, I'm out of town, vacation, whatever, then that would be an excused. So we're looking for, yeah, I mean, you can leave it there, it's fine. It's a matter of communications between the county and the individual to make sure that they are still interested. And if they're not, let's get somebody who is able to attend and be more active.
And your invites, when you send them out for the meetings, could you set them up as a calendar invite where they can accept, decline, or,
We did.
well, they are.
Yeah, this one was, yeah.
Good point.
Do you guys want to know what the representing?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So we have to, in order to satisfy our grant, we have to have at least one member from elected state and local officials. The second group is law enforcement, civil defense, firefighting, first aid, health, local environmental, hospital, and transportation personnel. That's the second group. Third group is broadcast and print media. The second one is community groups. And the fifth one is owners and operators of facilities subject to EPCRA requirements. We have to have at least one member from every one of those groups. If we do not, that is a big problem. So yes, we could. Yeah, so that is the requirements that we have. And so, just so you know, also when we sent out, especially the last calendar invite, there are people on there that are members of the committee, and there are other people on there who just come as a point of interest because they like to be here, because it is interesting and a concern to their job, if that makes sense.
Okay, moving on. The other this one is new today, so we would propose number 3, secretary position, removing the highlighted line. The secretary shall be elected for a 2-year term and must be a member of the LEPC. The secretary, replace that with the secretary is appointed by the The secretary is, how did we word it here with my deal? We would write it just like the coordinator information here, the coordinator information.
So we hereby designate the Dunn
Designate.
County Program Assistant as the secretary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Designate, that was the
Yep.
word I was looking at.
Hey, no problem.
You're good with words even when you're tired.
Exactly.
Is there anything that says that a secretary for a committee has to be elected? I don't know.
Whatever's in our rules, I would say.
It's our rules. Yeah.
All right, so that's suggested. We do have another meeting moving into this room at 10:30, so we'll keep going on. So we've got a lot of members, and I know not everyone, what prompted this is the number of members we have, and not everyone would need to be on a subcommittee. So can we look at the word shall and say that they're highly encouraged to sit on a subcommittee? So think about that. And I'll leave that up on the screen as we talk about the offsite planning subcommittee, which is probably one of the real working subcommittees here that we've kind of been, I talked to Steve about this a little bit and said, can we make this a standing subcommittee to say it shall consist of the emergency coordinator, the MFD hazmat representative, and at least one additional member. And I would, instead of what it says right now, with just 3 regular LEPC members. So we would look to then, with the 2 that are there, have at least one additional member volunteer to be on that subcommittee.
I'd volunteer to be on that. So
Okay. So that would be the change instead of trying to just say 3 people randomly, we would appoint those 2 and have at least one more. That's the change. That's
Jason, the thing about replacing shall, in the ISO 14001 world, we replace shall with should, so it's not a directive legally, it's a may, or it's a good practice, kind of, that's one thing I've learned over.
yeah, and that's that's why that stuck out to me, is this shall word. So we can either go with should or the highly encouraged. Each member of the LEPC is highly encouraged to volunteer, or should. So going back to that, any discussion one way or the other on that, or a decision one way or the other on that wording?
That makes sense.
Makes sense, yes, and we could roll that into the other.
Okay, so replace with the word should?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so good enough, perfect. And then we did the same thing down here, the coordinator of information. Instead of just 3 members, coordinator information, EPCRA coordinator, and at least 2 regular LEPC members. So again, putting people assigned to that committee as their position kind of says they should, and then soliciting at least two more LEPC members.
So going back to the one above where the Menominee Fire Department is named particularly, you'd have to go to the Menominee Fire Department and say, can this has now become my job responsibility.
Well, that's correct. And the Menominee Fire Department elected Matt Poliak to be that representative on the LEPC, so that puts him then on that committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So, yeah, there's kind of a little pecking order now with the chief. When Matt becomes the fire chief, he's gonna assign somebody else to serve on or he might still do it himself, I suppose. And that person would then be that MFD representative that would be then automatically on that committee. And it makes sense because we need to consult with the hazmat experts on the offsite plans. So, yeah.
And does the Menominee Fire Department have jurisdiction throughout Dunn County?
Yes.
Okay.
As the level B,
Yeah.
Okay. that
county
clarifies it.
level B, and then, yeah.
They have their regular response area, but then they get called out to certain areas as a higher level of service. Yep. So that's just those wordings there on those particular committees to assign those particular people as their positions, and 2 other members, 1 other up here would be the suggestion. Moving on. So somebody help me out on this. Claims for reimbursements totaling $1,000 or less may be approved between regular subcommittee meetings by the subcommittee chairperson. Is that a true and accurate statement? Anybody who clearly has some history with this? Steve, Melissa?
Yeah, I'll defer to Melissa. I don't remember any reimbursement process per se, Jason or Kristen, unless it was something.
It's been years
Related.
since we've had to do a claim.
Okay,
Most of it is handled through Menominee Fire. They go ahead and bill. If they have issues, it seems like then they defer to us to help. So, that's up to the committee, but like I said, it happens very, very rarely. So if we're gonna have an actual claims review subcommittee, I guess you could do that, but yeah, whatever.
So do
We
we just
could-
leave it for now then, or do we?
probably, to Melissa's comment, it's up to the committee. It is so infrequent, as Melissa was saying. We could leave it there, or we could take it out. I don't think it's gonna affect necessarily the functioning of the committee, but I'll take any other kind of questions or comments.
Hearing none, we'll leave it as is.
Okay, thank you.
And, or that's the suggestion, I guess. So that then concludes the suggested rules updates. So I don't know, Steve, if you want to take a motion or.
Please.
See if there's
Well,
a-
first, great job, Jason, and for everyone on the committee. It's a lengthy process, and thank you for going through that. It's important that we have a functioning, like we do, outstanding committee. So this will help increase that. And thank you, Melissa, for your comments as well. So are there any questions or comments on what Jason has presented? Is there a motion to accept and approve the changes and adjustments?
Brad?
There is one?
Yes, Brad.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you so much. All those in favor, and virtually Melissa and Kristen, can you raise your other hand, please? All right, good. Thank you. Favor, opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Great job, everyone. It takes time, but Jason, thank you for your efforts, Kristen, and everyone, Melissa, for doing that. Next order of business, so be other business. Are there any other items to bring up that we haven't discussed today?
Um,
Yes.
maybe just something, what do you guys think about having sort of this hybrid situation? Do you like the ability to either be online or be in person? Do you see value in it? What are your thoughts?
It only makes it more convenient for more people to show up, the more methods they can have to attend.
Yeah, I like it as I'm out of town.
So
I don't want to have to kick anyone out for 3 consecutive absence.
They have no excuse. Is that what you're saying, Matt?
So is this working? Does this feel like a good thing?
Seems to work. I normally would be there. I do travel myself. And Kristen Real, one of your responsibilities is to bring snacks to the next meeting. So you're aware of that.
And then I heard my other one is to tell the sheriff that he can't vote anymore.
No, that's okay. You're excused.
I'm just-
Oh, no, she has to do that and I want to be there when she does.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll make it happen.
And we'll
Yeah,
send the
Kristen.
WEAU news crew as well.
Sweet.
Okay,
I'm sure the sheriff will watch the recording of this meeting and we'll probably get the news in directly.
this will be the shortest vice chair role ever in the history of the LEPC for Dunn County.
Sweet.
All
And
good.
then am I official member of the LEPC? I don't know if I ever was.
You are.
I don't know
You
if there's
are
a process
now.
for that. Okay, sweet.
Whether you like it or not, you are now officially a
All
member,
right, great.
as long as you promise to attend.
Yep, I'll be there in person with
All right.
snacks and bells on.
Good snacks, the Snickers, the good stuff. Okay. So next is going to be the June meeting, which, please correct me if I'm wrong, looks like we're looking at, and possibly we can just have a quick discussion on a remote meeting like we did at Cardinal Glass. Looks like we're looking at June 13, 2024. Does that look like okay on everyone's calendars? The second Thursday of 2024?
Is it the second or third? Thursday.
Third. This would be, oh, I'm sorry. All right,
Yeah.
the third would be the 20th of June. Thank you. That work for everybody? Yes,
Do, by any chance, have any volunteers of somebody who would like to host a meeting?
that's the next
don't
point.
have-
Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, do we want to look at a site? I mean, I could volunteer at Cascades, for example, but that's in Eau Claire. Up to you. Or we could look at something local, Dunn County. Jeff Beagle was very gracious to host us to Cardinal, so we've had 3M. We could look at another site if that's interesting for anyone to do that.
Phillips Metasize?
Great. Sure,
Well, you're really stand up, aren't you, Kristen?
Yeah, I'm coming around here.
that would be great, Kristen. That'll excuse you from the treats. You can put it on the expense.
Yeah, it'll make it
Awesome.
easier. Phillips Metasize, yeah,
Sure,
sounds good to me.
if that's okay with you, that'd be wonderful.
I'll just double check to make sure there's no issues there and then
Okay.
follow up.
Wonderful, thank you. That's a great.
The
Go
next one, maybe the next one, we can get Matt to host it and show us all that cool equipment.
I was just saying
Yeah.
that I don't trust our city's IT enough to do pull.
Well, by December, maybe.
You got a
Matt,
whole
you're-
year. to
Matt, you're
put
hired.
Your IT kit.
If we can figure it out with this little owl guy, you can figure it out with all that.
You're on for the next one, Matt, next December. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right,
Everyone better be in person.
it better. Yes, we will. All right, great job. Any other comments or questions from everyone? Seeing as none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I
We have a
second.
second. Thank you. All those in favor, hands raised. Good, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for an excellent meeting. All your hard work, all your efforts throughout the year, taking care of everything on the agenda, everything on the business. Safe, sound, happy holidays to you and your family. Kristen and Jason, I'll work on getting there to sign off on the plans if that works, possibly today.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We would love to have your Herbie Hancock.
Sounds good. And then we will talk soon. So everybody, thank you so much. Thanks for all your good work and help, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.